range again. Oh, and by the way, it's of course day 44 of 66 days in a row. After today, we will be officially done with a 2/3 of this whole challenge. So I'm super stoked about that. It's time to get to it. The last two times, days 42 and 43, I screwed up. I unsuccessfully ranged the villain because in both of those hands, we actually gave the villain just slightly too narrow of a range, pre-flop range. And so narrowing through the streets, of course, that hand, the eventual hand they had, wasn't within that range. So I was just unsuccessful. The reasoning that I used in both of those hand reading practices, the way I narrowed them, the hand strengths that I assigned them through the streets, it totally would have worked if I had that initial hand within the range. So today the big focus will be on getting that pre-flop range accurate here. And so, like I said, villains range today. We got my database here of all the different showdown hands that I've seen over the past 4,000 showdown hands right here. Let's take a look at something from the cutoff. And we'll look for a hand with some good action here. Raising. Let's look for a hand where we called pre-flop. Actually, let's sort it by pre-flop action. Oh, that's right. Got to hit it again. Alphabetical like. Okay, calling. I want a hand where... Oh, okay. Ha! Very nice hand. Call, I was just going to say, I want a hand where I call some kind of a raise pre-flop, and then whatever the flop and turn and river action is, but this is great. The first hand I saw, calling, and then action on each of the future streets, which is awesome here. I believe it's just going to be by the river, just a heads-up pot. Let me see here. I limp. Oh, actually, I just called pre-flop. So what okay, good. So there is just a heads-up pot eventually. Wow, okay. No, we're not going to do this one. He just checks the big blind. It's going to be a super... No, screw it. We can do it. It's going to be a super wide range anyway. He's a 42-3 player, but he just checked. I mean, he could literally have all but the best... no, I don't want to... If I'm hand-reading the villain, I apologize. I do not... So I don't want to face a limper. I want to face a raise. One raise we're facing. Let's look for a calling hand versus a raise. Now this is in the cutoff. Wow. Raise, then fold. Facing a raise, call, then fold. This is no good. Got hands that went to showdown yet, but not for us showdown. A lot of these are other players. Okay. So. Okay. Let's look for calling hands here on the button. Call, fold. Call, raise, bet, call. Call, bet, check, check. I need action. Okay. Call, pre-flop versus one raiser. Call, pre-flop, bet, call, bet, and then a check on the river. I think... I don't want to keep searching through hands. Let's just do this one. No matter what, we're sticking with this hand here. So, nice. A cutoff, semi-aggressive but very loose player decides to min open here, and then we just call. Once again, it's going to be a pretty wide range, but so be it. We're sticking with this one. I'm not going to continually hand or search through hands the whole time. 88248540. Let's see what else happens here. So a min open from a 64-8 player. We could take a look. We don't have a lot of hands on them, but we could see they raise in the cutoff here 0% so far, which is 0 out of 6 instances. So wow, first time a cutoff raise. Okay, out of 6 opportunities to raise. Call, and it's just the two of us. Great. So we'll whip out the good old Flopzilla. We'll assign myself just some random hand in a little bit. But what is he raising right here? Overall, this guy raises 18% just in general. Excuse me. If we look at that pre-flop raising by position small blind, EP 33%, 14, 44 on the button. It's a small sample. So let's start by giving him a 2-bet range. We'll go 25% to start with. Now, I'm thinking he's got to be raising every ace, right? He could be limping in with some of the weaker aces, but at least we can give him that. The suited king all the way down to 6-4-5-4. What is this feller's limping? Limps 42% of the time. Holy cow. Okay, we don't want to go 32% as a raise. Let's give him 6s as his limping hands, not min opening. Let's give him 10-9. 10-9 offsuit, that's a limping hand. Limp, limp, limp. We'll say the offsuit jacks he's racing with. Let's give him every ace as a raising hand. Let's do that at least. King 9 suited feels like a limp, limp. 10-9 suited, we'll say, is the first hand that he's racing with. It's a min raise. The guy just limps so often. I mean, you got to think, if we keep all the other suited kings, suited queens, suited connectors, suited gappers, all this stuff, 6s, so this offsuit crap, if we keep all of that at kind of a limping range, then we're pretty set here. I bet he's limping queen jack offsuit. I bet he's limping king jack off. No, okay, he's raising king jack offsuit, we'll say. So 22% raising, and it's just a min raise. Who knows, maybe he would make things bigger with aces and kings and queens, or maybe he just goes for the min raise and hopes for a 3-bet. But yeah, we're going to put him on this kind of a weird ace-heavy range, super ace-heavy range. If you think about it here, when you just think about all the aces, ace king down through ace queen, there's 12 different combos altogether. 12 times 16. 192. So out of 400, so half of his range is aces in this instance. Half of his range is aces. That's a big ace-heavy range. But we are going to stick with this. We're going to go with it. %, 292 combos. He limps it. I think it was 42%. All right. So let's assign myself a hand. I just called. This is a great opportunity to ISO raise, right? So I don't have a hand. I don't have a value hand that I want to ISO raise with, and I probably don't have. I don't have many broadways. I don't have any suited aces right here because I'm most of the time raising suited aces. I don't have good broadways either. So let me give myself something that I would limp behind with and not ISO raise. Probably like a 5-6 or even a 7-6. Let's go 7-6 suited. Cool beans. 2 folds. Great. So it's just the two of us on a queen, queen, 5, club, club, spade, or club, heart, spade board. So on this board, as you can see, we didn't flop squat at all. Our villain's range, ace heavy, a few queens in the range for trips or even quads in this instance. Plenty of under pairs in the range, and ace high hands that currently beat our 7 high hand. We don't even have a backdoor flush. We just have a backdoor straight draw. So he checks, and then we bet. I like the bet right there. Queen, queen, 5 is a hard-to-hit board. And in general, he c-bets 25% of the time, which means he's a pretty flop-honest player. It is only 1 out of 4 instances, so you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But in general, the guy doesn't raise much. He folds the c-bets quite a bit. He c-bets very seldomly. So all of that goes to show that he only commits money on the flop when he has maybe a decent hand. So he's probably got some kind of an underpair right now, unless he check raises us. Okay. Oh, he does check raises. Holy cow. That's going to change things. So we bet and then we call. We do have position. We've got full stacks right here. So on the flop, actually, our stack to pot ratio is pretty darn high. $1.35.29. It's less than 30 to 1. It's like 22 to 1 is my guess. Or we could say 28 bucks. 28, 1.35. Okay, 21 to 1 is the stack to pot ratio. So we shouldn't be feeling committed at this pot at all right now. Shouldn't be committed. But let's see what happens. Checks, we bet, and he check raises. What is this check? I doubt there's any check raises at all. Check raise, c-bet, 0. 0 out of 2. Wow, so this is his first out of 3 chances to check raise. And he gives us a pretty decent sized check raise right there. 3.67 times our bet. Pretty good. And then we decide to just call. So what is he check raising? Check raising quads totally. Doesn't have any full houses. Check raising 3 of a kind. Sure, why not? Over pairs. I could see those check raising for sure. Thinking that we're not going to be giving value, we're folding a lot. Maybe he's checking to get us to bluff on the queen 5 queen board. He doesn't have to come out with a bet with an over pair. No, check raise is just fine. Pocket pair below. Yep. Well, are those really check raising? Maybe as a bluff. Now, he has shown flop honesty in the past. So I really have to discount. I really don't think. Let's say half the time he's raising with these. I don't think he's raising every single time with these. So let's do that. Wait, did I hit okay or did I hit cancel? 50%. Yeah, we're good. Accept it. Okay, cool. 27, 1, 2. Yeah, that's good. So let's see here. Middle pairs, is he check raising? No, he's not. Weak pairs, no. Ace highs, doubtful on the ace highs. Overcards, ace king. Let's give him that as a check raising. 2-card backdoor? No, I don't want to give him that as a check raising range. So we've actually narrowed this guy quite a bit right here, I would have to say. 63 combos and 25% of his pre-flop range. So we've taken out quite a bit. As you can see, a flop honest player decides to check raise us, right? It's all over pairs or greater with some of these pocket pairs below. Just 50% of the time, throwing out the one-time check raise bluff. But let's see what happens on the turn. Oh, we decide to bet again, and he just calls now. Interesting. So I guarantee we don't have this. We probably have some kind of a queen, maybe queen jack or even queen 10 suited that I just called pre-flop instead of ISO raising, which normally I would do if it was a king queen or an ace queen. I mean, it might even be something like queen 9 suited or even queen 8 suited that I just want to play one hand with him, see what happens. But it's probably queen jack or queen 10. So, whoops, we got to do that. And then the turn came the 3 of spades. So on the 3 of spades, he's got a rather narrow range. Now, when this card hits right here, it doesn't complete anything for him. It doesn't do squat for him at all. If he had a strong hand, he still has a strong hand. He shouldn't be scared of anything that we have. But he shouldn't be scared here on the 3 of spades. But he decides to check and then just call. And I fired a double barrel here. So maybe I'm trying to bluff. Maybe I'm going for value with just a half pot bet. So what is he? His call puts 13 in the pot with $22 behind. He's got to make a check raise and then fire the river if he wants to make it sensible to get his full stack in. So I'm not going to say he's got quads. No full house, no straight. 3 of a kind, yeah, those random queens are possible, but I really think they're check raising again or firing big in this instance. So I am going to take those out. Yep, I'm going to take the 3 of a kinds out. I just don't see any of those. Even queen 10, you've got to go for value, right? I mean, I just called your check raise. The 3 doesn't do anything to the board. If you were good with your queen on the flop, you've got to be good on the turn, and you've got to bet for value. Why risk me checking behind when you showed such strength? I'm checking behind a huge range, or anything non-queen. If I have 10s or 9s and I didn't want to fold, I'm checking behind all those, but I might call a $3, a $2, a half pot bet if you bet with your trips. So no, he does not have 3 of a kind. Over pairs, totally possible check calling, afraid that we have a queen. Those are in the range. Pocket pairs below, sure, why not check calling? We already removed half of him for his check bluffing, but he might think, if I was good and I made the check raise bluff, and if he might think that he could still be good with an underpair because a 3 doesn't change anything. I bet if an ace or a king came, he's probably check folding all underpairs on that board. Or if he has 10s or 9s, he would be folding to a jack, a king, or an ace. If he has 9s, 8s, 7s, or 6s, he's probably folding to an ace, a king, a jack, or a 10 on the turn. My guess, at least, is that that's what he would be doing. So let's say he's calling here because a 3 is not a scare card. Mid pairs, no. Ace highs, no way check calling. Why would they do that? Open enders doesn't have any. Flush draw? Yeah, I get. Well, I mean, flush draws are the queens, so we got to take those out because I already removed them from up here. Now, the other flush draws that he could have, oh, just the ace king suited. Sure, why not? Let's give him that hand at least. So he has 1 flush draw in his range. Why is it 5 combos? Oh, it's 5 combos, but when filtered, it's only 1. So if I highlight this, yeah, it goes to 1. Perfect. 5 combos total, but filtered. Yeah, good. So look at that. We have narrowed him down even more. 42% of his prior streets range. 27 combos. You can see that it is 27.5 combos because we set these under pairs at 50% of the time. He is calling with them. Or check raising, then calling right now. Wow, 5 on the rivs. And then I just check, wow, I guess I don't have a queen. I think I just have, I just had a bluff hand. Yeah. So what is, from his perspective, what is checking here on the 5 of diamonds? It is a scary board, so he obviously doesn't have a queen. If he has a queen, he's got the second nuts. The only thing that beats him is quad 5s right here, if he's got a queen. So, he's just checking. He should be going for value. Over pairs, totally in that range. Pocket pairs below, yep. And then I think he's got 100% of his prior streets range. I think that's what it is. $27 combos still, 26.5, but whatever, close enough. Oh my gosh. Pocket 7s does make sense for the way I played it. It's a hard to hit flop, so I called his check raise with intent to bluff him off on the turn. But then I think I made a mistake by calling that check raise because he shows that he only likes his hand. He only continues beyond the flop with the hand that he likes. So because of that, I shouldn't have called it. I should have just figured my 7s are done. He raised me over 3x times my bet. Nope, right there. So he raised me over 3x times my bet on the flop. I should have seen that as a straight value play, especially with how honest he looks on the flop. I shouldn't have called right there. But let's say this guy was more, this guy. C-bet 75%, folds only 54%. Very aggressive. What is his fold to C? What is his check raise? Out of position check raise is 11% of the time. Okay, this guy is a little bit more prone to making bluff check raises on the flop. This is BigtheBig, who we've ranged before. If he made this play, I think that's a good call and then try to steal it from him on the turn. But this guy's too flop honest. I shouldn't have called. I should have just folded and put him on some kind of a queen. But the bummer is he had queen 7 offsuit. Holy cow, for min raising? Okay. This guy's just, I guess he can just be a tricky player. Came in for whatever reason, decided to raise right here. With his limping at 41%, you'd figure, honestly, let's take all this off, clear that board, clear this. This makes sense as a raising range, and all this other junk in here is his 40% limping range. You know what I mean? So I guess occasionally he just throws out the really weird min raises with a crappy queen 7 offsuit right there. Yeah. So I think my logic makes sense, but you know, I'm trying to range people with kind of like what makes sense logic-wise, but this guy's obviously just a recreational player. I would classify him as a fish, and he just makes really weird plays with weird hands. Who knows? Queen 7 might be his favorite hand. At one time, King 7 offsuit was King 7 suited was my favorite hand at one time. Maybe his is Queen 7. He doesn't want to ever give it up, so he comes in for a min raise. This guy folds a steal 7,600. Maybe he's just doing a weird cutoff steal, and he knows these guys fold a lot. I don't know, but I mean, you think he only raises 18%? Let's think real quick. When does let's see. When does Queen 7? My guess is that Queen 7 offsuit. It probably ends up, using the bet slider, it probably falls into about a 60% range. Yeah, I'll just say just straight 60% range. We'll look at this until this hits 60 right here. Or until we get to the Queen 7. 58. Queen 7, 60%. Bring it back. 59%. There we go. Queen 7 at 59.9%. So I was really close with my 60% guess right there. So yeah, he just played in a way that I would have never suspected. Oh, what did I have? Pocket 7s. You know, I would prefer, actually, next time if I ever play this hand again, I would definitely prefer over this guy isolating with the 7s. Because the 7s are a pretty easy hand. I mean, I isolate with a 3-bet pre-flop too. He made it just 50 cents. Let's say I made it just an even $2, 8 big blinds, right? On this kind of flop, if he does not hit his queen, it is so easy to throw out the c-bet, and then he folds everything but a queen or a 5. Just about. Like I said, he might call 50% of the time with the where is it, pocket pair below top pair, he might call with those jacks through sixes 50% of the time. But really, against his flop on his player, a 3-bet pre-flop would have been better, and then just throw out the c-bet on a hard-to-hit board. All right, so we learned some good stuff. Always got ISO the fish with 3 bets. And take down the flop with an easy c-bet. Yep. Good lesson learned. I've got to make sure I keep doing those kinds of stuff. Normally, I isolate, but for whatever reason, pocket sevens, maybe I just wanted to hit a set. One of the good things about set mining against a guy who doesn't seem to raise often is that when they raise, they have what is oftentimes, like you guys saw that. What was that range? Let's put it in again. Slap this range in here. Okay, so ace heavy range, right? Half of his range is aces. If it came ace, 7, anything, 9, a queen, whatever. Look, oh, whoops, wrong 7. Let's change mine. Okay, so if it came ace, 7, queen, and ace on the board, and if I hit my set, I am taking this fool's money. He is not going to give up on an ace high board with any of these aces. Ace, queen, definitely not. Ace, 7, 2 pair, or any of these aces. He's not going to be giving up. I flopped a set. And then so when somebody doesn't raise often and they have a stronger range, if you hit a set against these players, they're going to pay you off. This is the best opportunity. That's probably why I called right here, just to hit my set. And, you know, if I hit my set, then great. If he hit an ace as well, I'm just getting tons of value, possibly getting his entire stack when it is set over top pair, set over 2 pair kind of a hand. Yeah, so that was probably my reasoning at the time. So I can't fault myself for just calling here. Calling here also allows him the opportunity to 3-bet squeeze. He squeezes out of the big blind 12% of the time. Yeah, it gives him the opportunity to 3-bet squeeze, and I'd have to fold. So really isolating or calling to set mine, it's like, I think it's kind of 50-50. It's a close decision. You don't have to go one way every single time, but I guess maybe just results-oriented wise. Not results-oriented. I guess the way I played it, I don't like the fact that I called the check raise on the flop either. I think that's a bad play. Yeah, so the call pre-flop is just fine, but the calling the check raise on the flop is where my mistake was. Don't call flop check raises with bluff catchers when your opponent is flop honest. Good lessons learned today. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you very much for sticking around for 44 days now. We're 2/3 of the way through our 66 days of hand reading. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you later on day 45.